The Corner of Fate. Logan Bennett sat in the back seat of his sleek black car, a man defined by power, wealth, and precision. As the vehicle inched through the busy streets of downtown, his thoughts drifted between the latest acquisition at his firm and the presentation he had in the afternoon. The rhythm of his life was steady, predictable, and meticulously controlled, until he saw her. A figure huddled on the sidewalk caught his attention. A woman, thin and weary, clutched two small children to her sides. Her once bright eyes, now clouded with exhaustion, locked with his for a fleeting moment. Time froze. It couldn't be. Logan leaned forward, urging his driver to slow down. The closer they came, the more certain he was. The woman on the street was Olivia Carter, the first girl he had ever loved. The girl who, years ago, had stolen his heart with a simple laugh and shattered it with indifference. Her face, though shadowed by hardship, was unmistakable. But the Olivia he had known had been radiant and full of life. This Olivia looked like a ghost of her former self. As the car slowed to a halt at the corner, Logan stepped out, ignoring the chaos of honking cars and busy pedestrians. He approached cautiously, his heart pounding. "Olivia," he called softly. She flinched at the sound of her name, her wide eyes filled with disbelief and shame as they met his. For a moment, she seemed to shrink into herself, clutching her children tighter. "Logan," she whispered, her voice barely audible. The twins looked up at him with wary curiosity, innocent eyes reflecting years of struggle they couldn't fully understand, unraveling the past. Logan crouched to her level, his gaze softening as he took in the details of her condition. The torn clothes, the thinness of her frame, the trembling hands resting protectively on her children's shoulders. "What happened to you?" he asked, his voice gentle but urgent. Olivia shook her head. "It doesn't matter. Please, just go," she said, her voice cracking. "We're fine." Logan looked at the children, one girl clutching a small broken doll and the other holding back tears as she clung to her mother's arm. He didn't believe her for a second. "You're not fine," he said firmly. "Let me help you." "No," Olivia said quickly, her voice rising with panic. "We don't need your pity, Logan." "This isn't pity," Logan replied. "You need help, and I can give it. Please, Olivia, let me do this for you and for them." She hesitated, her resolve wavering under the weight of his insistence. The twins looked up at her expectantly, their innocence tugging at her heart. Finally, she nodded, her shoulders sagging in defeat. Shelter from the storm. Logan wasted no time. His car arrived minutes later, and he carefully helped Olivia and the twins inside. The ride to his mansion was silent, save for the occasional whimper of the children. Olivia sat stiffly, her hands clenched tightly in her lap, as she stared out the window. When they arrived, Olivia hesitated at the doorstep, her eyes widening at the grandeur of the home. "I don't belong here," she murmured. Logan turned to her, his expression unreadable. "You belong wherever you're safe," he said simply. The housekeeper, Mrs. Harper, greeted them with a warm but curious smile. Without hesitation, Logan instructed her to prepare a room for Olivia and the twins. He then led them to the living room, where a fire crackled warmly in the hearth. "Sit," he urged. "You're safe now." Olivia sank into the couch, her arms wrapped protectively around her daughters, who were already dozing off against her. For the first time in years, she allowed herself to relax, though the knot of unease in her chest remained. The weight of truth. The next morning, Logan found Olivia sitting in the kitchen, a steaming cup of tea cradled in her hands. She looked up as he entered, her expression a mixture of gratitude and apprehension. "Thank you for everything," she said quietly. "But I can't stay here forever. I'll find a way to get back on my feet." Logan took a seat across from her. "You don't have to do this alone, Olivia," he said. "Tell me what happened. I want to understand." She hesitated, the weight of her past pressing heavily on her shoulders. Finally, she began to speak, her voice trembling with emotion. "I met Jake after high school," she said, her eyes fixed on the table. He was everything I thought I wanted. We dated for a while, and I thought we were in love. But when I told him I was pregnant, she swallowed hard. He left. Logan's jaw tightened. He had never liked Jake Miller, the charismatic charmer who had always treated people as disposable. I tried to manage on my own, Olivia continued, but it wasn't enough. I lost my job, and we were evicted. I've been doing whatever I can to keep Harper and Hazel safe, but her voice broke, and tears spilled down her cheeks. Logan reached across the table, his hand covering hers. "You don't have to fight this battle alone anymore," he said softly. "Let me help you." "Why?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Why would you do this for me?" "Because I care about you, Olivia," Logan said simply. "I always have." Hope rekindled. Over the next few days, Logan worked tirelessly to ensure Olivia and the twins had everything they needed. He arranged for new clothes, toys, and medical checkups. Slowly, Olivia began to let down her guard, though the shame of accepting help lingered. Logan, however, was patient. He knew rebuilding Olivia's confidence would take time, but he was determined to see her shine again. He suggested she consider pursuing her education, offering to cover the costs and help care for the twins while she studied. At first, Olivia resisted, but as days turned into weeks, she began to see the opportunity for what it was, a chance to rewrite her story and build a better future for her daughters. The narrative will unfold with Olivia's journey of self-discovery, the challenges she faces, and the deepening bond between her and Logan. Through perseverance, compassion, and love, they find a path to healing and a brighter tomorrow. The journey to hope. The morning sun spilled through the tall windows of Logan's mansion, bathing the room in a warm, golden glow. Olivia sat at the dining table, watching Harper and Hazel giggle as they ate pancakes stacked high with fresh fruit. The sight brought a rare smile to her lips, though her mind still raced with uncertainty. Logan entered, his presence commanding but his smile gentle. He carried a folder in his hand and set it on the table as he sat across from Olivia. She glanced at it nervously, already suspecting what it might contain. "How are the girls this morning?" he asked, nodding toward Harper, who was now attempting to balance a strawberry on her fork while Hazel clapped. "They're happy," Olivia admitted, her voice soft. "It's been a long time since I've seen them like this." "And you?" Logan's tone was probing but kind. Olivia hesitated, her fingers twisting the edge of her napkin. "Grateful," she said after a moment, "but still trying to understand why you're doing all this for us." Logan leaned back in his chair, his expression thoughtful. "Because everyone deserves a second chance, Olivia. And because I see potential in you that you don't seem to see in yourself." He slid the folder across the table toward her. "I did some research," he continued. "There's a community program that offers scholarships for single mothers. It includes training, childcare support, and job placement. I think it could be a good fit for you." Olivia opened the folder reluctantly, her eyes scanning the neatly printed information. The program seemed almost too good to be true, offering resources she'd never dreamed of having access to. But doubts gnawed at her. "I don't know, Logan," she murmured, closing the folder. "It's been so long since I've done anything like this. What if I fail?" Logan leaned forward, his gaze steady. "Failure isn't the end, Olivia. It's just another step on the road to success, and you won't be alone. I'll be here every step of the way." His confidence in her was disarming, and Olivia found herself nodding despite her reservations. "I'll think about it," she said quietly. The first steps. Over the next few days, Logan worked behind the scenes to prepare for Olivia's new beginning. He reached out to the program coordinators, ensuring all the necessary paperwork was in order, and arranged for a private tutor to help her ease back into academics. Meanwhile, Olivia began to adjust to life in the mansion. Though she still felt out of place in the luxurious surroundings, she couldn't deny the peace it brought to her daughters. Harper and Hazel thrived in the stability, their laughter filling the once silent halls. One afternoon, As the twins played in the garden, Olivia joined Logan in his office. She hesitated in the doorway, watching as he typed on his computer, his brow furrowed in concentration. "You're always working," she said, a small smile playing on her lips. Logan looked up, surprised but pleased by her teasing tone. "Someone has to keep the lights on around here," he replied, gesturing for her to come in. "How are you feeling about the program?" Olivia sighed, sitting in the chair across from him. "Nervous," she admitted, "but maybe a little excited too. It's been a long time since I felt like I could plan for the future." Logan nodded. "That's a good start. And remember, you're not doing this just for yourself. It's for Harper and Hazel too." Her eyes softened at the mention of her daughters. "I know. They're my reason for everything." Facing the shadows, as Olivia began her coursework, the challenges came swiftly. The material was more advanced than she'd anticipated, and her self-doubt often threatened to overwhelm her. But Logan remained a steady presence, offering encouragement and practical support whenever she needed it. One evening, as she pored over her notes at the dining table, Logan entered with 2 mugs of tea. He placed one in front of her and sat down beside her. "You've been at this for hours," he said gently. "Take a break." "I can't," Olivia replied, her voice tight with frustration. "If I don't get this, I'll fall behind." Logan placed a hand on her arm, his touch grounding. "Olivia, you're not in this alone. It's okay to lean on people who care about you." Her eyes filled with tears, and she looked away. "I'm just not used to that," she whispered. "I know," Logan said softly, "but you're stronger than you think. You've already proven that by surviving everything you've been through. Now it's time to thrive." Seeds of change. As the weeks passed, Olivia began to find her rhythm. Her confidence grew with each small victory, the completed assignment, a kind word from her tutor, a proud smile from her daughters. For the first time in years, she felt a spark of hope. Logan, too, found himself changing. His once solitary and calculated life was now filled with the warmth of Harper and Hazel's laughter and the quiet strength of Olivia's determination. He admired her resilience and was inspired by her willingness to rebuild. One evening, as the family gathered in the living room after dinner, Harper climbed onto Logan's lap, clutching a picture she had drawn. "This is you, Mommy, and us," she explained, pointing to the stick figures. "We're happy now." Logan's heart swelled as he looked at the child's simple but heartfelt drawing. He glanced at Olivia, who was watching with a mixture of joy and disbelief. "You've done an amazing job with them," he said quietly. "They're a reflection of you." Olivia smiled, her eyes shining. "And they're happier because of you." A future reimagined. Months turned into a year, and Olivia completed the program with flying colors. She secured a job with a nonprofit organization, using her newfound skills to help other single mothers rebuild their lives. Her transformation was remarkable, and her confidence radiated in everything she did. Logan stood by her side every step of the way, offering unwavering support and friendship. But as their bond deepened, both began to realize that their connection was something more. One evening, as they watched Harper and Hazel play in the garden, Logan turned to Olivia. "I've been thinking about something," he said, his voice steady. "About us." Olivia looked at him, her heart pounding. "What about us?" "I want to be a part of your future," Logan said simply. "Not just as a friend, but as someone who loves you. And your daughters, with everything I have." Tears filled Olivia's eyes, and for the first time, she didn't hesitate. "You already are," she whispered. As they stood together, watching the children laugh and play, Olivia realized that her life had come full circle. From the depths of despair to the heights of hope, she had found not only a second chance but also a love that promised to stand the test of time. Building dreams and confronting fears. The golden hues of dawn painted the sky as Olivia stood on the balcony of Logan's mansion, a steaming cup of tea in her hands. She gazed out at the sprawling garden, where Harper and Hazel were chasing butterflies, their laughter echoing through the crisp morning air. It had been over a year since Logan had first found them on that street corner. The memory felt like a distant nightmare, overshadowed by the life they had begun to build together. Yet, as Olivia sipped her tea, she felt the weight of the decisions that lay ahead. Her new job at the nonprofit organization was fulfilling, but it also brought with it the challenges of balancing her responsibilities as a mother and a professional. She had started dreaming of bigger things, advocating for single mothers like herself, creating programs that could provide them with shelter, education, and dignity. But along with her dreams came fear. Could she really rise to the occasion? Could she truly leave behind the insecurities that had once paralyzed her? Logan joined her on the balcony, his presence a steadying force. "You're up early," he remarked, his voice warm. "I couldn't sleep," Olivia admitted, setting her cup down. "There's so much on my mind." Logan leaned against the railing, his eyes studying her. "Care to share?" Olivia hesitated, then nodded. "I've been thinking about expanding what I do at the nonprofit. Maybe starting my own initiative, something that goes beyond just helping single mothers find jobs or housing. I want to create a space where they can heal, grow, and feel empowered." Logan's lips curled into a proud smile. "That's incredible, Olivia. You've already made such a difference in people's lives. This could be the next step." "It's a big step," she said, her voice tinged with doubt. "And I'm not sure I'm ready." Logan turned to face her fully, his expression serious. "Olivia, if anyone can do this, it's you. You've overcome more than most people could even imagine. You're strong, smart, and determined. And you have a perspective that no one else does because you've lived it." Her eyes shimmered with emotion as she absorbed his words. "I just don't want to fail." "Failure is part of the journey," Logan said gently. "But if you believe in this, then you owe it to yourself, and to the women you want to help, to try." A leap of faith. Over the next few months, Olivia threw herself into the new project with Logan's full support. She began by researching the needs of single mothers in the community, meeting with women in shelters, and attending workshops to understand the systemic challenges they faced. Each story she heard reaffirmed her resolve to create something meaningful. Logan used his connections to introduce Olivia to potential investors and philanthropists who might be interested in supporting her vision. At first, Olivia felt out of her depth in the polished world of business meetings and presentations, but Logan was always there to guide her, his encouragement a constant source of strength. One evening, after a particularly productive meeting with a local businesswoman who had pledged her support, Olivia returned to the mansion, her face aglow with excitement. She found Logan in his office, poring over documents. "We did it," she said, her voice breathless. "She's in. She's going to help fund the center." Logan looked up, his expression breaking into a wide grin. "I knew you could do it," he said, standing to embrace her. "This is just the beginning, Olivia." She laughed, tears of joy streaming down her face. "I couldn't have done any of this without you." A new home, a new life. With the funding secured, Olivia's dream began to take shape. She rented a modest building in the heart of the city and worked tirelessly to transform it into a welcoming space. The center, named Haven's Hope, became a sanctuary for women and children seeking refuge and a fresh start. The opening day of the center was a whirlwind of emotions. The twins, now 5 years old, helped cut the ribbon, their faces beaming with pride. Dozens of women and their children attended the event, their eyes filled with hope as they walked through the bright, cheerful space. Olivia gave a speech, her voice trembling but resolute. "Haven's Hope is not just a place," she said. "It's a promise that no one has to face their struggles alone. We are here to lift each other up, to create a future where every woman feels valued and every child feels safe." The crowd erupted in applause, and as Olivia looked out at the sea of faces, she felt a profound sense of purpose. For the first time in years, she truly believed in herself. Confronting the past. Despite her success, Olivia knew there was one part of her past she needed to confront: Jake Miller. She had avoided thinking about him for years, But now that she was helping other women escape toxic relationships, she felt a responsibility to face her own demons. One afternoon, while the twins were at school and Logan was at work, Olivia tracked down Jake's contact information. He was living in the same city, his life seemingly untouched by the decisions he had made years ago. She arranged to meet him at a local cafe. As she sat at the corner table, her hands trembled slightly, but she kept her head high. When Jake walked in, he looked almost the same as he had in high school, handsome and self-assured. But Olivia noticed the cracks beneath the surface, the tired eyes, the nervous fidgeting. "Olivia," he said, sitting across from her, "it's been a long time." "Yes, it has," she replied coolly. Jake glanced at her nervously. "Why did you want to meet?" "I needed closure," Olivia said, her voice steady. "For years, I carried the pain of what you did, of how you abandoned me and our daughters. But I'm not here to dwell on the past. I've moved on. I've built a life for myself and for Harper and Hazel." Jake's face fell, guilt flickering in his eyes. "I'm sorry, Olivia. I was young and scared, but that doesn't excuse what I did. I've regretted it every day." "I'm not looking for an apology," Olivia said firmly. "I've already forgiven you, for myself, not for you. But I needed to face you, to tell you that you don't hold power over me anymore." Jake nodded, his shoulders sagging. "I understand, and I'm glad you found happiness." As Olivia walked out of the cafe, she felt lighter than she had in years. The past no longer had a hold on her. A future rewritten. Months turned into years, and Haven's hope flourished. Olivia became a pillar of the community, her story inspiring countless women to believe in second chances. Harper and Hazel grew into confident, compassionate young girls, their laughter a constant reminder of how far they had come. Logan remained by Olivia's side, his quiet strength and unwavering support the foundation of their shared life. One evening, as they watched the sunset from the garden, he turned to her and took her hand. "Olivia," he said softly, "you've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I thought I had everything, but it wasn't until you and the girls came into my world that I realized what I was missing. I love you." Tears filled Olivia's eyes as she smiled at him. "I love you too, Logan, more than words can say." Their kiss was a promise of love, partnership, and a future filled with hope. Together, they had rewritten their stories, proving that no matter how broken the past, it was always possible to build a beautiful future, expanding horizons and embracing new challenges. As the years unfolded, Haven's hope became a beacon of transformation. Olivia, now widely recognized for her work, had grown into a poised and confident leader. Her center was no longer just a single building. It had expanded into 3 locations across the city, each one thriving with women and children who were rediscovering their strength and independence. Despite her success, Olivia remained humble, rooted in the memory of the street corner where Logan had found her. That moment had marked a turning point, not just for her and her daughters, but for the countless lives she had touched since. A growing legacy. It was a crisp autumn morning when Olivia sat in her office at the original Haven's Hope location, reviewing plans for the newest expansion. Her desk was cluttered with blueprints, funding proposals, and photographs of success stories, smiling mothers with their children, graduates holding certificates, and women who had gone on to start businesses of their own. A knock on the door interrupted her thoughts. When she looked up, she saw Logan standing in the doorway, holding a steaming cup of coffee and wearing his trademark warm smile. "Thought you might need this," he said, setting the cup on her desk. Olivia grinned, leaning back in her chair. "You know me too well." Logan chuckled, pulling up a chair beside her. "How's everything coming along?" "Busy," she admitted, gesturing to the chaos on her desk. "But good. We're finalizing the details for the new center, and the team is already brainstorming ways to make it even more impactful than the last." Logan's eyes sparkled with pride. "You've come so far, Olivia. And you're just getting started." She laughed softly, a mix of gratitude and disbelief. Sometimes it feels like a dream. I never thought I'd be here, doing this, but there's so much more to do. A new opportunity. Later that week, Olivia received a surprising phone call. The city council had heard about her work and wanted her to speak at an upcoming event highlighting local changemakers. The idea of standing in front of hundreds of people was daunting, but Olivia knew it was an opportunity she couldn't pass up. That evening, she shared the news with Logan as they sat on the patio, watching Harper and Hazel, now 8 years old, play with their dog in the garden. Public speaking. Logan teased gently, "Isn't that a bit out of your comfort zone?" Olivia shot him a playful glare. "I can handle it," she said, though her tone betrayed her nerves. "I have no doubt," Logan replied, reaching for her hand. "You've faced far bigger challenges than this. Just speak from your heart. That's what people need to hear." The speech that changed everything. The night of the event arrived, and Olivia stood backstage, her palms clammy as she gripped the note cards she had meticulously prepared. She could hear the murmur of the audience and the occasional burst of applause as other speakers took the stage. "Monty, you're going to do great," Harper said, tugging at her hand. Hazel nodded in agreement, her quiet confidence a reflection of her mother's. Logan, standing beside her, placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder. "You've got this," he said softly. "Just remember why you're doing it." When Olivia's name was announced, she took a deep breath and stepped onto the stage, the bright lights momentarily blinding her. As she approached the podium, the crowd fell silent, their attention fully on her. "Good evening," she began, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "My name is Olivia Carter, and I'm here tonight because someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself." She shared her story, the struggles, the heartbreak, and the moment Logan found her and changed her life. She spoke about the women she had met through Haven's Hope and the power of community and compassion. By the time she finished, the room was filled with tears and a standing ovation, turning pain into purpose. The impact of Olivia's speech was immediate and profound. Donations to Haven's Hope poured in, along with offers from volunteers and partners who wanted to support her mission. The event also opened doors to larger platforms, including invitations to speak at national conferences and collaborate with other organizations. But amidst the whirlwind of success, Olivia remained grounded. She continued to spend time at the centers, connecting with the women and children she served. It was their stories, their courage, that fueled her drive to keep pushing forward. Facing new challenges. With growth came challenges. Managing multiple locations, training new staff, and maintaining the center's values required careful planning and relentless dedication. Olivia found herself working long hours, often juggling meetings, fundraisers, and her responsibilities as a mother. One evening, as she sat at the kitchen table reviewing budgets, Harper approached her with a concerned expression. "Mommy, are you okay?" The young girl asked, her small hand resting on Olivia's arm. Olivia looked up, startled by the question. "Of course, sweetheart. Why do you ask?" "Because you look tired," Harper said matter-of-factly. "And you always tell us it's important to take care of ourselves." Olivia couldn't help but laugh, pulling her daughter into a hug. "You're right," she admitted. "Sometimes I forget to listen to my own advice." Logan, who had been listening from the doorway, walked over and placed a hand on her shoulder. "We're a team, remember? You don't have to do this alone." Olivia smiled up at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I know, and I'm so lucky to have you." A future of possibilities. As Haven's Hope continued to flourish, Olivia began to dream even bigger. She envisioned a national network of centers, a movement that could empower women across the country. With Logan's unwavering support and the lessons she had learned along the way, she knew it was possible. One afternoon, as she and Logan watched the twins play in the garden, he turned to her with a thoughtful expression. "Have you ever thought about writing a book?" he asked. "A book?" Olivia echoed, surprised. "Your story has inspired so many people," Logan said. "Imagine how many more you could reach if you put it into words." The idea took root in Olivia's mind, and over the next year, she began working on her memoir. The process was both cathartic and challenging, forcing her to confront the darkest moments of her past while celebrating the triumphs that had brought her to where she was. The greatest reward. When the book was finally published, it became a bestseller, sparking conversations about resilience, compassion, and the power of community. Olivia's story reached millions, inspiring others to believe in the possibility of second chances. As she stood at a book signing event, surrounded by readers who shared their own stories of struggle and hope, Olivia felt a profound sense of fulfillment. She had turned her pain into purpose, creating a legacy that would continue to grow for generations to come. And through it all, Logan remained by her side, her partner, her confidant, and her greatest supporter. Together, they had built not just a life, but a foundation of love, hope, and endless possibilities. The road to nationwide impact. Years passed, and Haven's Hope evolved from a local sanctuary into a national movement. Olivia had become a household name, a symbol of resilience and compassion, and a voice for the voiceless. Yet even as her influence grew, she remained connected to the heart of her mission. The women and children whose lives were transformed by the opportunities her centers provided. It was a brisk spring morning when Olivia received an unexpected phone call. The White House was inviting her to a roundtable discussion on homelessness and poverty. The president wanted her input on how to implement lasting change nationwide. As Olivia hung up the phone, her hands trembled, not with fear, but with a deep sense of responsibility. The invitation was a recognition of her work and a chance to amplify the stories of the women she served. It was an opportunity she couldn't ignore. Preparing for a new stage. That evening, Olivia shared the news with Logan as they prepared dinner together. Harper and Hazel, now 10 years old, were setting the table, their chatter filling the kitchen with warmth. "The White House," Logan repeated, his eyebrows raising in surprise. "That's incredible, Olivia." She nodded, her excitement tempered by nervousness. "It's an honor, but it's also intimidating. I've spoken at conferences and events, but it feels like a different level." Logan placed a hand on her shoulder, his gaze steady. "You've earned this, Olivia. You've been on the front lines, building solutions that work. They need your voice." Her lips curled into a small smile. "I just hope I can do justice to the women who trust me with their stories." "You will," Logan said with conviction, "because you care. And that makes all the difference." A seat at the table. The roundtable discussion was held in a grand conference room filled with policymakers, nonprofit leaders, and community advocates. Olivia, dressed in a simple yet elegant navy dress, walked in with a calm demeanor that masked her nervousness. She carried a folder filled with data, stories, and solutions she had spent years crafting. As the meeting began, Olivia listened carefully to the discussions, noting the disparity between theoretical solutions and the realities she had witnessed firsthand. When it was her turn to speak, she rose, her voice steady and clear. "Thank you for inviting me here today," she began. "I'm not just here as the founder of Haven's Hope. I'm here as someone who has lived through the struggles we're discussing. My daughters and I were homeless for nearly 2 years, surviving on the kindness of strangers and sheer determination. The women I work with every day are fighting the same battles I once did, and they deserve more than temporary fixes. They deserve dignity, stability, and the chance to build a future." The room fell silent as Olivia shared the stories of the women who had walked through her center's doors. Stories of courage, resilience, and triumph against impossible odds. She outlined practical, scalable solutions, emphasizing the importance of addressing root causes rather than symptoms. By the time she finished, the room erupted in applause. For the first time in years, Olivia felt that her voice was not only heard but valued. Expanding the vision. The impact of the roundtable was immediate. Olivia was invited to collaborate with policymakers on new initiatives, and funding for Haven's Hope increased dramatically. With Logan's support, she began to dream bigger than ever before. One evening, as they sat on the patio watching the stars, Olivia shared her vision with Logan. "I want to create a national network of centers," she said, "not just shelters, but places where women can learn skills, access childcare, and find emotional support. I want to break the cycle of poverty, not just for individuals but for generations." Logan smiled, his admiration evident. "You've already changed so many lives, Olivia. Whatever you set your mind to, I know you'll make it happen." She looked at him, her heart swelling with gratitude. "I couldn't do any of this without you, Logan. You've been my anchor through everything." "And you've been my inspiration," he replied, taking her hand. "We make a pretty good team." Navigating new challenges. As Haven's hope expanded, so did the challenges. Scaling the organization required hiring more staff, navigating complex regulations, and maintaining the quality of services. Olivia found herself traveling frequently, meeting with donors, opening new centers, and training leaders to carry her vision forward. Meanwhile, Logan managed his own growing empire, but he always made time for Olivia and the twins. He often accompanied her on trips, offering insights and emotional support. Despite their busy schedules, they prioritized family time. Harper and Hazel, now preteens, were thriving, their personalities blossoming in unique ways. Harper was outgoing and creative, while Hazel was thoughtful and analytical. Both girls had inherited their mother's determination and their father figure's steady confidence. One weekend, as the family hiked through a nearby nature reserve, Harper turned to Olivia. "Mommy, can we help at the centers?" she asked. "We want to do something to help the kids there." Olivia's heart swelled with pride. "Of course," she said, her voice soft with emotion. "You're already helping more than you know, just by being kind and understanding." A proposal of forever. Years of partnership and love had deepened the bond between Olivia and Logan. Though they had built a life together, Logan had yet to officially propose. He wanted the moment to be perfect, a reflection of everything they had shared and built. On the 5th anniversary of the day he found Olivia on that street corner, Logan planned a surprise. He arranged for a small private dinner in the garden of their mansion, the space illuminated by fairy lights and candles. Harper and Hazel were in on the plan, eagerly helping him prepare. As Olivia stepped into the garden that evening, she was stunned by the beauty of the scene. The table was adorned with flowers, and soft music played in the background. Logan stood waiting for her, his eyes filled with emotion. "Logan," she whispered, her voice catching in her throat. "What is all this?" He stepped forward, taking her hands in his. "It's to remind you of how far we've come," he said, "and to show you how much I love you." As he dropped to one knee, Olivia gasped, tears filling her eyes. "Olivia Carter," he said, his voice steady despite his own emotions. "You've changed my life in ways I never imagined. I don't just want to be your partner in this journey. I want to be your partner in everything. Will you marry me?" Through her tears, Olivia nodded. "Yes," she said, her voice trembling with joy. 1,000 times, yes. Harper and Hazel ran out from their hiding spot, cheering as Logan slipped the ring onto Olivia's finger. It was a moment of pure, unfiltered happiness, a promise of forever, a legacy of love and hope. The wedding was a beautiful, intimate affair held at the original Haven's Hope Center. Surrounded by family, friends, and the women whose lives Olivia had touched, the ceremony was a celebration of love, resilience, and the power of second chances. As Olivia and Logan exchanged vows, Harper and Hazel stood by their side, a living testament to the journey that had brought them there. The years that followed were filled with new challenges and triumphs, but through it all, Olivia and Logan remained steadfast in their commitment to each other and their shared vision. Together, they built a legacy of love and hope that would inspire generations to come. Generations of impact. 10 years had passed since Logan first found Olivia on the street corner, her world in shambles, but her spirit still fighting for her daughters. Now the family stood at the ribbon-cutting ceremony of the largest Havens Hope Center to date. It was not just a shelter or resource hub, but a sprawling campus offering housing, education, childcare, and mental health services for hundreds of women and children. Olivia stood at the podium, her voice steady as she addressed the crowd. "This isn't just a building," she said. "It's a promise. A promise that no one has to face life's hardest challenges alone. This campus represents the power of community and the resilience of women who refuse to give up." The crowd erupted in applause, and Olivia stepped down to join Logan, Harper, and Hazel, who were now young women themselves. Harper had grown into a vibrant, creative spirit, pursuing a degree in social work. Hazel, with her quiet determination, was studying law, aspiring to advocate for underserved communities. "Mom, you were amazing," Harper said, throwing her arms around Olivia. "You inspire us every day," Hazel added with a soft smile. Logan placed a hand on Olivia's shoulder, his expression filled with pride. "You've built something extraordinary, Olivia, and it's only the beginning." A family mission. As Havens Hope expanded, the Bennett family became even more intertwined with its mission. Harper and Hazel spent their summers working at the centers, learning the ins and outs of nonprofit management and building relationships with the women and children they served. One evening, as the family gathered for dinner, Harper shared an idea that had been brewing in her mind. "Mom, what if we start a youth program at Havens Hope?" she asked. "A mentorship initiative where older kids can guide younger ones, helping them with schoolwork, sports, and just life stuff." Olivia's eyes lit up. "That's a wonderful idea, Harper. Peer mentorship could be a game changer for kids who've experienced so much instability." Hazel chimed in, her tone thoughtful. "And we could expand it to include workshops on leadership and personal development. It could help break the cycle of poverty by giving these kids the tools to succeed." Logan smiled at his daughters. "It seems like the next generation is ready to leave its mark." Scaling new heights. With Harper and Hazel's initiative gaining traction, Olivia and Logan began exploring ways to replicate Havens Hope internationally. Through partnerships with global organizations, they identified communities in need and started planting the seeds for centers in countries where resources for single mothers and vulnerable families were scarce. Olivia's first trip abroad took her to a small village in Kenya, where she met women whose resilience reminded her of the women she had worked with back home. She returned from the trip energized, filled with ideas and stories that reinforced her belief in the universality of hope and determination. At home, Logan took on more responsibilities to ensure the stability of their family, while Olivia navigated the complexities of global expansion. Despite their busy schedules, they remained committed to each other and their shared mission. Trials and triumphs. Life, however, was not without its challenges. As Havens Hope grew, so did the scrutiny. Critics questioned its rapid expansion, and some doubted Olivia's ability to manage such a large-scale operation. One particularly harsh news article labeled her as an idealist with unrealistic ambitions. The criticism stung, but Olivia refused to let it deter her. "If we let fear of failure stop us, nothing will ever change," she told Logan one evening as they sat on the porch. Logan nodded, his hand resting over hers. "You've faced worse, Olivia, and you've proven time and time again that you can rise above it." The criticism soon faded as Havens Hope continued to deliver results. Women who had once walked through its doors with nothing were now returning as volunteers, mentors, and even staff members. The centers became self-sustaining ecosystems of empowerment and growth. The next chapter. One warm summer evening, the family gathered in the garden for what had become an annual tradition, reflecting on the year's milestones and setting goals for the future. Harper and Hazel had brought a scrapbook filled with photos, letters, and mementos from their work at the centers. As they flipped through the pages, Olivia felt a lump in her throat. Each photo told a story of struggles overcome, dreams realized, and lives changed. She looked around at her family, her heart swelling with gratitude. "You all inspire me," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "This started as my journey, but it's become our journey, and I couldn't be prouder." "Mom," Hazel said, her tone serious, "we've been talking, and we think it's time for you to write another book. Not just about your journey, but about everything Haven's Hope has accomplished and the lessons you've learned along the way." Olivia smiled, considering the idea. "It's a daunting task, but I think you're right. This story isn't just mine anymore. It belongs to everyone who's been part of it." Passing the torch. As the years went by, Olivia began to transition leadership of Haven's Hope to the next generation. Harper and Hazel took on more prominent roles, with Harper focusing on program development and Hazel handling advocacy and legal strategy. Though stepping back was bittersweet, Olivia knew it was the right time. She and Logan spent more time traveling, visiting the centers they had established around the world and witnessing the ripple effects of their work. One evening, as they watched the sunset from a hill overlooking one of the newest centers, Olivia turned to Logan. "Can you believe this all started with a single moment on a street corner?" Logan smiled, his hand clasping hers. "It was more than a moment, Olivia. It was the beginning of a miracle. A legacy of love and hope." In her later years, Olivia's second book, Haven's Hope, The Power of Second Chances, became an international bestseller. It was not just a memoir, but a blueprint for building communities of support and empowerment. The proceeds from the book funded new initiatives, including scholarships for young women and grants for grassroots organizations. Olivia often said that the greatest reward wasn't the accolades or recognition. It was the letters she received from women who credited Haven's Hope with saving their lives. Harper and Hazel continued to carry the torch, expanding the network to new countries and introducing innovative programs. Their passion and dedication were a testament to the values their mother had instilled in them. Full circle. One day, as Olivia strolled through the original Haven's Hope campus, she spotted a young mother sitting on a bench with her toddler. The woman looked up, her eyes filled with a mixture of hope and uncertainty. Olivia approached, sitting beside her. "First time here?" she asked gently. The woman nodded. "I didn't know where else to go." "You've come to the right place," Olivia said, her voice steady with conviction. "This is where second chances begin." As she walked away, Olivia felt the familiar warmth of purpose filling her heart. Though her role had changed, her mission remained the same: to ensure that no one was ever left behind. With Logan by her side and her daughters leading the way, Olivia knew that Haven's Hope would continue to thrive for generations to come, a living testament to the power of compassion, resilience, and love. A legacy that lives on. Years later, Olivia stood in the same garden where Logan had proposed to her, now a place of cherished memories and quiet reflection. The mansion was filled with the lively chatter of family and friends, gathered to celebrate Olivia's retirement from her active leadership role at Haven's Hope. It was a bittersweet occasion, but one that marked not an end, but the beginning of a new phase for the mission she had dedicated her life to. Harper and Hazel, now confident leaders in their own right, had taken the helm of Haven's Hope, guiding it into a future filled with promise and innovation. They had expanded their mother's vision, creating programs that addressed emerging challenges and amplifying the voices of those they served. Olivia often marveled at their courage and grace, knowing that the seeds she and Logan had planted were bearing fruit in ways she could never have imagined. A reflective moment. As the evening unfolded, Olivia found a quiet corner to sit and reflect. The house buzzed with laughter and joy, a stark contrast to the silence that had once consumed her life. She thought back to the street corner where Logan had found her, a moment that had felt like an ending but had become a beginning. Logan joined her, his hair now streaked with gray, but his eyes as warm and steady as ever. He sat beside her, taking her hand in his. "Penny for your thoughts," he said with a smile. Olivia chuckled softly, "Just thinking about how far we've come. Sometimes it feels like a dream." Logan looked at her, his expression tender. "It's a dream you made real, Olivia. You turned your pain into purpose and created something that will outlive us both." She rested her head on his shoulder, her heart full. "I couldn't have done it without you." A lesson for generations. As the night wound down, Olivia took a moment to address the gathered crowd, her voice steady but filled with emotion. "I've often been asked how I managed to build Haven's hope, how I found the strength to keep going when life felt impossible," she began. "The truth is, I didn't do it alone. Every step of the way, I had people who believed in me, people who reminded me that no matter how dark things get, there's always a light waiting to be found." She paused, her gaze sweeping over the room. "The greatest lesson I've learned is that no one is beyond hope. When we extend a hand to someone in need, we're not just helping them survive. We're giving them a chance to thrive, to dream, and to pass that hope on to others. That's how we change the world, not through grand gestures, but through countless small acts of kindness that ripple outward." The audience erupted into applause, and Olivia felt a deep sense of peace. She had done her part, and now it was time to trust in the next generation to carry the torch. A life well lived. In the quiet years that followed, Olivia and Logan spent their time traveling, mentoring young leaders, and cherishing the simple joys of life. They often visited Haven's Hope Centers, watching with pride as their daughters and the new leadership team continued to innovate and expand the mission. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Logan turned to Olivia. "You know, if someone had told me all those years ago that stopping at that street corner would change my life forever, I don't think I would have believed them," he said with a laugh. Olivia smiled, her eyes shimmering with gratitude. "That moment saved me, Logan, and it showed me the power of compassion. It taught me that when we open our hearts to others, we're not just helping them. We're healing ourselves too." The enduring legacy. When Olivia passed away peacefully in her sleep many years later, she left behind a legacy that spanned continents. Haven's Hope continued to thrive under Harper and Hazel's leadership, its mission evolving to meet the needs of an ever-changing world. Olivia's story became a cornerstone of the organization, reminding everyone that resilience, love, and compassion could overcome even the greatest hardships. Her final lesson echoed in the hearts of those she had touched. Kindness has the power to change lives, and hope, once ignited, can illuminate the darkest of paths. This concludes the story. Thank you for watching until the end. I hope you found it enjoyable. If you did, please consider liking the video and sharing it with your friends. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell for more captivating stories. Have a great day.